Hello and welcome to your new moon reading for this month. While these are filmed in a calendar month, they are timeless, and at any time that you find them, you will probably find some guidance that you need. They're perfect just the way they are. So the way this works is we go through each of the chakras from the base up to the top. Then we have the tantric relationship deck and then the soul deck. So we're looking at lots of different things that we can work through on our spiritual journey, and we're going to start with the base chakra and just get a sense of what's going on this new moon for everybody. There's two that came out. We'll see how they go. The first one: what were you like as a child, and how are you the same person today, and how are you different? This is an interesting one. I was listening to a podcast this morning about this, and how as children, many of the things that we love get cultured out of us through social expectations and cultural expectations, and we change who we are because of the way people are around us, rather than just holding firm with who we are. So this is a good card to reflect on. What were you like as a child, and how are you the same person today, and how are you different? And then the other card that was popping out was what things or issues trigger you into anger. And I guess none of us were angry children. You know, we learn how to manage emotions during our toddler years. And it's when we have a supportive and nurturing environment where an adult sees us and acknowledges our frustration that we get that response that we need. So for you, there might be a link between anger and who you were as a child. But in general, this is a really interesting new moon. So with who we were as a child, we can also be reborn emotionally, I suppose, as well. When we think about, we can reinvent ourselves at any point in our life. At any given point, we can change who we are. So there's a couple of good things that you can reflect on in your journals with that one, this new moon. The Sacral Chakra. I love how they just sort of float out, the ones that we need. What do you fear most in the masculine, and what do you fear most in the feminine? And if we think back at this, anger here, were your parents angry, or how did they manage anger? What did you notice about how they managed anger? And also, how you were raised as a child. So again, this is another really reflective card. And this is not necessarily gender specific, but it's the energy of the masculine and the feminine that we're looking at here. So fear is in there as well. So that's an interesting thing. And quite often, fear is what triggers anger. We've got a fear that we often don't speak about that triggers us into the anger. Solar plexus. Have you noticed any patterns in your life, relationships, jobs, health? This reading is looking like a family reading. So you as a child, who you were, what family patterns have you got, what things have you carried on from childhood that you are bringing into your life, and do we need to bring anger and fear? Do we need to bring them into your new life? And have you done the work on those things? Have you gone back and done the work on those things? I'm just going to break from the pattern here, and I'm going to grab a card from my little box of balance and just see what strategy might be useful for you when you're reflecting on these patterns, the anger, the fear, and reflecting on who you were. Interesting. Change direction. It looks like the universe is asking us to look at our patterns in the past and then make a new choice. It's asking us to make a new choice, which is a really interesting way of moving through this. So there's a fair bit of work that we need to do in those areas. So let's have a look at the heart chakra. How are you vulnerable, and what does vulnerability feel like? Children, completely vulnerable. And as we grow, we put up barriers and walls to protect our vulnerable hearts. So let's see if we can change direction from this anger, fear-driven adulthood and move into a more vulnerable heart space. This is heart chakra, so moving into a more vulnerable space by working through some of these past issues. Throat chakra. Sorry, let's fall on the floor. How are you, or how do you block your creative flow? I guess when we look at this, you know, if we've got this gunk in these lower lower chakras, all these issues and unresolved traumas, they can block, you know, creativity comes from here. So that can really block our creative flow. So if we're looking about unblocking, we're embracing the masculine, embracing the feminine, and healing our fear around both of those things. Great, really good. Loving what this is looking like for you guys this month, or this new moon. Where's it gone? From the third eye chakra. What steps can you take today to live the life of your dreams? Again, this creative flow and changing direction, you know, this is the same thing. So at any given point in our life, we can stop what we're doing and change direction. We can make another choice. We can make a different choice. We don't have to do what's expected. We don't have to do the patterns that have been playing out in our lives for their whole lives. We don't have to. There's no rules that say you have to do those things. Oh, it was very quick. What do you know of life beyond Earth? So this is a really moving out of our inner, you know, the inner worlds of here and moving into the esoteric, moving into what we know of life beyond Earth. We've found water on Mars, you know, and water is where life begins. So, you know, what do we know of life beyond Earth? And this card is mostly designed to get us think. You know, we can get very caught up in our heads in a lot of this stuff, but this is asking us to expand beyond our limited mind, beyond our limited capability of what we think is true. And again, the changing direction card, you know, we're moving in a different direction. We can live the life of our dreams if we choose a different path. We can unblock the creative flow through unblocking the fear of the masculine and or the feminine, and really thinking about who you were as a child. You know, were you a creative child who had their creativity stifled, which is very, very common for children to have their creativity stifled. So this doesn't appear to be a reading about intimate relationships, but if you are in a relationship or are looking for an intimate relationship, this is a card that you can reflect on. See, there's nothing here for us because it's not the deck we need. So it's a bit slow in coming out. Oh, here we go. Do you flow with Shakti energy? So Shakti is the feminine. It is also the creative flow. So that's a good card to get. So the Shakti is the feminine that rises up from the earth, and the Shiva is the energy that flows down. And it's the creativity. So this is what the cards are saying, is to really start to flow with creative energy, because and move into this childlike world that you're in, but also become a different person if that's what you want. You know, you've always got free will, always got choice to be who you want to be. And finally, let's move into the aura deck, or the 8th chakra. There's 2 cards there. And the first one is a meditation. So make your mind as vast as the sky, as expansive as the universe, and sit in the bliss that is life. And again, this is moving our mind, moving us out of our minds, out of our limited mind space into an expansive space. So this is a really great match to this one here. And the other one is, what does it mean to be spiritual? And this is really an interesting, you know, culturally and socially, a spiritual person has a look, apparently. But we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, or a human's having a spiritual experience. Either way, we all experience some form of spirituality. But the question is, what does it mean for you to be spiritual? Which is a great one to reflect on later. But I would definitely, with this new moon, I would go through each of the cards, pause the video, answer the questions in your own mind, get yourself really clear, get it all out, particularly this one, get all the anger things out, you know, write them down, burn them on a piece of paper. Don't burn a house down or anything like that, but burn the paper in a safe place. You're not going to light a bushfire or anything. And just work through each of the cards and really have some deep reflection, and you'll probably find something completely different to what I've discovered in it. I'm going to leave you with one more of the little box of balance cards, just one more activity to go forward with. And what you need to do is drink water. Remember to drink water, keep hydrated. So that's your new moon spread for January 2022, and I hope you've enjoyed this, and please let me know in the comments how you went, if there's any cards that really meant something completely different to you. But it looks like for the collective there's some inner child healing around creativity and you know, standing in your own authority, being really authentic within yourself. Thanks very much. Bye.